Hello and welcome to Write Life Kenya, a channel where we are passionate about all things mental health and the development of the person as a whole. So today we're going to be looking at something very interesting. We know that most of what we think about ourselves was formed when we were young. Our childhood experiences shape who we are. They shape how we view the world and how we view ourselves. So today we are going to be looking at things that hinder a child from developing positive self-esteem, things that hinder the growth of self-esteem in a child. As a child journeys from childhood to adulthood, they are forming thoughts about who they are and whose they are, and how we interact with children in our different spaces is what tells them their value, is where they draw their value from. For example, a child will be very affected by what their parents say about them, by what their aunties say about them, by what their siblings say about them. So a family life is something that shapes how a child grows in terms of self-esteem. So what are some of the things that happen in a family setup or in a child's experiences that hinder the growth of their self-esteem? We're going to be looking into this. So the first thing that hinders the growth of self-esteem in children is actions or words that convey to them that they are not enough. So if you talk to your child in a way that shows them that they're not enough as a person, for example, if you compare them in any aspect to another child, for instance, you might tell them that their sibling is performing better in school than they are, or you tell them that so-and-so's child is better behaved than they are. Those are some of the things that rob a child of the feeling of self-esteem. It also teaches the child that for them to feel valuable, they have to compare themselves to another person. So this teaches the child that in themselves, they are not enough. Or when you act all excited when someone tells you that their child maybe is performing very well in school, and then when you act very disappointed, maybe if your child is not performing the same, this tells the child that you value high performance, but it also tells the child that you do not value them because they attach your actions and your words to their value of self. As I said, children are forming their opinion of self. So the little things that we say, the little things that we do tell them how valuable they are as people to us and to the world. So if at any point you seem to behave in a way that seems to tell this child that because you did not meet this, then you are less of a person, they will hold on to that and grow up thinking that good grades mean a higher value in a person than lower grades. And maybe this child is talented in other ways, but if your focus is this one thing that they are not good at, then they will tend to own that. The second point is hindering the child from expressing themselves. Now, as adults, we have a lot of control over our mannerisms and how we behave. We are not impulsive, and we tend to know how to control ourselves in different situations. For a child, that is something that they learn gradually over time. But sometimes we over-expect children to behave in the way that we have labeled acceptable. And acceptable is that probably this child, when you go to an event, they will sit still, they will not fidget, they will not keep telling you that maybe they need to go to the toilet, or maybe they are hungry, or maybe there's something they do not like in their surrounding. Children are very expressive. They know how to voice what they want, and they do not have filters. When we label some things as unacceptable feelings or unacceptable thoughts, we are telling the child that their feelings and thoughts are not valuable. But if we start from a point of listening to this child and validating what they feel, and then going ahead to guide them to the correct maybe expression of this feeling or these thoughts, then that builds the child's self-esteem up. But if we dismiss what they feel, if we dismiss what they think, then we are teaching the child that their thoughts and their feelings are not valuable. And then they grow into adults that maybe do not speak up because they do not think that their ideas will be valued, because we have socialized them to think that their thoughts and their feelings are not valuable. They grow into adults that do not express their feelings and their emotions even when the situation calls for it. The third thing is labeling your child. Now, when a child makes a mistake or when they misbehave, we have to be very careful how we handle that situation. If we label the child as a bad boy or a bad girl, then it is telling them that their definition of self is bad. But we have to be very careful that what we are correcting is the behavior and not labeling the child with the behavior that they had. So a child is not a bad child. It is what they did that is bad. We have to choose our words very carefully because, as I have said before, children will pick what we say about them and they will own it, and they will grow up knowing that this is what defines them. So we have to then, even in moments of anger, remember that it is not the child that is bad, it is the behavior that is bad. If you made a mistake at work and you are labeled a bad employee because of that, I'm sure you would feel very bad about yourself. Now, for a child, it is even more, because we are meant to teach them that they are special, that they are valuable, that they are gifted, that they are good, because that is what we intend them to be. We have to operate in matters of faith when it comes to children, because our words form their world. Our words are very key to their development. So we have to pick words that are uplifting and that build them up when it comes to labeling the child. But when it comes to behavior, then we can separate the child from the behavior and say that what you did here is not good behavior, or it is bad manners or something of the sort. But be very careful not to say that the child is bad or associate them with that behavior, because as they're growing, they can change. And we have to also remind them that it is okay to make a mistake and that you're not your mistake. The other point is embarrassing your child, even in a joking manner. So this robs the child of self-esteem because, one, it tells them that it is okay for them to be told things that degrade them, even in public. So even things like disciplining your child in public can rob them of their self-esteem, because they get laughed at because they did this and this, or joking about such things like bedwetting in public, things that maybe your child is not comfortable with, can hinder the growth of their self-esteem. The other thing that hinders growth of self-esteem is physical violence. So we know that disciplining a child sometimes requires that you use the rod, spare the rod, spoil the child. But physical violence is a notch higher, not within the parameters of discipline as it should be, but it is harmful to the child. So physical violence robs a child of the feeling of safety and security, which is what caregivers should be giving to children, as feeling of safety and security even when they are being disciplined. But physical violence teaches a child that it is okay for people to cross their boundaries. So they grow up very fearful and thinking that it is normal for people maybe to hit them or do things to them that are not right, because they were socialized to think that violence is normal. It makes the child fearful, and it makes the child think that they have to be perfect for them maybe to be safe. So anytime they have the urge to explore, maybe they won't, because they know that maybe a consequence will come from them making a mistake. A child may refuse to go out of their way maybe to figure something out because they want to follow the rules so that they do not face the consequence. Over-disciplining also causes the same effects. And the other aspect of physical violence is sexual abuse, which violates a child and causes them to lose value of self from a very young age. The other hindrance to the growth of self-esteem in children is overprotecting them. Overprotecting a child teaches them that they have to rely on someone else to do things for them, even when it is not age appropriate to do so. So a child grows gradually from childhood to adulthood, and as they grow, they tend to become more independent of their parents or caregivers. That is the right path for them to follow in life. When they are young, they are overly dependent on you, but as they grow older, they continue to become independent. Now, for us to help them do this, we have to keep losing our hold on them slowly and slowly as we perceive their capabilities, as we see their growth, their ability to make decisions, their ability to think for themselves. But overprotection means that you do not loosen this hold. You want to be in control of every aspect of this child's life. So then they become adults that cannot make their own decisions, adults that have to consult on everything that they do, adults that over-rely on other people, maybe because they do not trust their own ability to make decisions or to think for themselves. So overprotection denies the child the growth of self-esteem because it teaches them that they are not capable as themselves. The other extreme as well hinders the growth of self-esteem, and this is having no rules. Having no rules creates no safe boundary for a child to explore. It creates no support structure that is very key for the development of a child. Having rules that are contradicting as well causes the same effect. Having rules that cannot be discussed, rules that are very punitive, rules that are very unfair can hinder the growth of self-esteem in a child because it robs them of that feeling of safety, that feeling of having something constant that they know. This is how things work. So I can explore safely to this level. So it hinders the growth of self-esteem in a child. That's all I had for things that hinder the growth of self-esteem in children. If you have any more, hit me up in the comment section. Thank you for watching. See you next week.